Hey everybody, this is a podcast again, streaming message here. I'm a little bit distracted because I'm trying to find my Bible. Kind of stupid. I should have gotten my Bible first before I did this. Let me just step away from this. There it is. As you can see from the title, oh, I got to go to work, all kinds of stuff. As you can see from the title, it is stating the connection between Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice and Justice League via Lex Luther, his concept of hell and heaven. Really interesting. Let me just read something for you from scripture, man. The last time I talked about the rising of the sun and the coming down of the sun, I think I did that. I don't know. I can't remember. This stream is not going to be long, so let's see. Now, here's the funny thing. It's written here. It says, "Who is like unto the Lord our God, who dwells on high, who humbles himself to behold things that are in heaven and in earth." Let's just stop right there, right? We were talking about heaven and hell, and you got the earth. Earth is like middle earth. It's like in between heaven and hell, right? And then he goes and he says, he raises the poor out of the dust and lifts the needy out of the dunghill, that he may set them as princes, even princes of his people. He makes the barren woman to keep house and be joyful of her children. But the interesting thing here is taking the poor that's in hell and lifting them up and putting them in heavenly places. And it's just very interesting how Lex Luthor's concept of that is. And so that's why I wanted to read that piece of scripture first before I go into what I'm going to talk about. I already did a video of this and I put it out on Facebook. So if you're the group Justice League Unite or real DCEU fans, or you're of the groups, any one of my groups, Batman v Superman lovers, Suicide Squad lovers, Wonder Woman lovers, if you have any of those groups, you know you won't see it in Wonder Woman lovers, you won't see it in Suicide Squad lovers. If you see it in Batman v Superman lovers, you would be able to see it there. I also have it in some other DC groups and spoiler groups. So that's on Facebook. Didn't put it out on Twitter, can't put it up on YouTube because it's a video. However, it's very interesting, so I want to discuss it with you guys. Now, if you do remember, Lex Luthor said, he said, devils don't come from hell beneath us. No, they come from the sky. But what's interesting about BvS is the beginning of BvS starts with the beginnings of Batman. They basically do the origin story of Batman. And interesting, young Bruce, he falls down this well shaft into a cave at the bottom of the cave. In other words, he plummets down into hell. His world, in fact, it starts off saying that. It says in the beginning, it says, it says something about there was a time above, perfect things, diamond absolutes, but things fall, things on earth. It's very interesting. He says things on earth, and what falls is fallen. Now that's very interesting because when you look at what happens in BvS, that beginning, Bruce falls down that cave shaft. It's as if he plummets into hell because he's in hell basically. He's tortured. It's a horror. His parents are dying, so it's a hell for him. And in the bottom and the depths of hell, he meets these demons, which happen to be bats. And they're called demons because he's afraid of them. So they're called demons. That's why. And they're in a dark place. They're in a cave. So it's like hell. And these demons attack him. And he's afraid of them, mortified. And he faces his fear. And that fear of those bats is what motivates him to become the Batman. And the bats basically give him a certain enlightenment, these demons, help him to elevate back up to earth or to mankind. He comes out of hell and up amongst mankind with a purpose and a mission. However, he says that it is actually, he said it's a lie. He says it's, he used a certain word. I can't remember what it is right now. I just drew a blank. Let me see if I can remember. It's, he said, not a perfect lie. Diamonds, they took me to the light, a beautiful lie. And a beautiful lie, obviously, is a movie as well. But it's just interesting that he says a beautiful lie. And the lie is that demons could ever really bring you to some light. And as you know, as you watch BvS, you see that Batman is tortured throughout the movie. He's tortured by his parents' death. He's a tortured soul. And so that's why he says a beautiful lie, because he's not with mankind, really. He's fitting in. He's sort of surviving amongst mankind, but he's a tortured soul. And while he may not commit blatant crimes. He has committed a lot of crimes, but he doesn't commit blatant crimes. He's trying to find justice. He's really not. He feels he's going nowhere, as we learn in the story. And then he learns that he's powerless, that there's these beings that could do so much damage and he cannot control that. And so he feels like he's below. He still believes like he's in hell. And Batman is relieved of that hellish state finally by Superman when he realizes Superman's actually a good person deep, deep down inside of him. That really changes Batman. He realizes he's really the agent of Satan. He's a demon, and he's about to destroy the very thing that the world needs. And Batman still stays in a hellish state after Superman's death, to be honest. He's tortured by that, but he's finally redeemed at the end of Justice League. But to the extent that he comes out and knows his humanity, and Superman now becomes his inspiration. So the Bats were first his inspiration of Batman, but in this particular iteration, this trilogy, Batman becomes inspired by Superman. And so now he becomes a guardian. And now the bats that we saw in the cave, which were like agents of hell, demons, fear mongers, they're now guardians. And so the difference here, when you look at the beginning of Justice League, where you see Batman and he's apprehending a criminal, you see Batman now in the capacity of a guardian. He's not killing, he's not excessively brutal, and he's not hopeless. Okay, he's hopeful. And so because of his hopefulness, he's able to tackle this greater challenge that's bigger than the petty criminal that's there. And there's a number of other points I can point out, but I just wanted to raise that particular point. The video that I put out is pretty comprehensive in terms of some other things that are going on there, but I just wanted to point out that. And why do I want to point out that? Same person, Bruce Wayne. It's the same person, but people can be transformed, and you and I, we have this ability. It doesn't matter if they accept what we say initially. I've faced a number of places where people have literally badmouthed what I've said. They drove me in the mud. They've accused me of all kinds of things which are not true. But at the end of the day, these are the same people. They will not acknowledge you, but these are the same people who will use the very words you told them or the very actions you told them. And they are transformed by those actions, which is the most important thing. And because of that, now they're actually doing the very same things you were doing and saying, and the very same things that they were accusing you of, they're doing now. And while it is hypocritical to some extent, and people will never acknowledge, most people are very proud, so they'll never acknowledge the source of where they got their stuff from. That's not important. At the end of the day, once they're doing something positive, that's what's important. And usually when you present people with things that are new, I just push the boundaries on everything. If you guys know anything, and I'm not somebody who needs a director to tell me and verify things. I can see things for myself. When you can critically think and you can see things, and you can also understand the significance of things, you can think for yourself. So you don't need someone else as a school teacher to validate anything you say. And so at the end of the day, people like myself and other people who can think for themselves, we're usually looked at as public enemies, number one, because what we usually say after reflection by different people, they realize that what we're saying is true. And the next thing they realize very quickly is that they feel intimidated by that, because this is someone who can think and reason and can call me out on my BS. If I put up some BS, they can call me out on it. And so what these people do is they try to discredit people like myself. But eventually, when they don't feel so offended, they embrace the very things we say. That's why it's good for you, regardless of what people label you or whatever they do, they may even kill you in the end. It's always good to do good. And it's always good to speak virtues and qualities into the world and to people, and always open your voice and let it be heard. Don't be afraid to speak out on something that is wrong or speak out on something that is right. Keep your vocal speech out there. Of course, you have to be discreet about how you actually proceed to do that all the time, but it's very important to speak out on things. Right now, the young people are still speaking out on gun control, and that there needs to be that. There was another incident with mass shootings yet again, and so far the Senate, Congress has done nothing on it. The NRA seems to have their way with these things, and I hope that the young people keep on pressing forward, keep on speaking. You do not be silent. This is something that altered and the course of your life. It altered the associations and relationships you had around you. Don't ever be silent, young people. Don't let them shut you up. You're the future. You're going to be the future politicians and the people working in America. Speak out. Your voice will be heard. And the people, we've already seen companies listening and buckling under the pressure of this assault. The Me Too movement, God bless them, bless these women, bless these people, because this is what needs to happen. And if Americans would speak out more, and if people of the world in my own country would speak out more, you can empower your own self. You have the power to do whatever you want with your life. And as a collective, you're extremely powerful. You're extremely powerful. And this is what Zack Snyder, Patty Jenkins, the director for Black Panther, this is what these guys are saying. The director for Star Wars, he knew. I'm so glad. He has a lot of balls, that guy, because he understood this is more than just entertainment. I'm not just going to give people what they like so that they can fill their gluttonous bellies. No, I'll give them what they need. Star Wars needs to mean something, and he took it to the next level. I don't care how much flack they give him and how much this stupid, I don't want to even talk about the person who I think is stupid right now and behaving like an idiot. Okay, but that's I'm gonna mention names. I'm not gonna mention names. But what I'll say is, this guy made a movie that was relevant, important, and it encourages people to take action, to mobilize as groups and communities. And this is the thing that's being bashed by jackasses who know they're being sold out to the highest bidder. You know, you think of Kanye West right now. Okay, Kanye West is sold out. That Negro. Okay, and it annoys me because I'm a black person myself to see a guy, to get views and to get popularity, he speaks out and says some really stupid stuff. And it hurts a lot of things, the progress forward. And so I am all about meaningful movies. I'm all about meaningful entertainment. Okay, I'm not into the bullshit about emotion, and excuse my language about the bullshit. Sometimes I get a little bit edgy, but it's nonsense when we have non-productive stuff that takes the major airwaves most of the time. All right. And now that we have a little bit of seriousness and soberness because the world economy is somewhat in an all-time low. So people can't, be jackasses and just party. Now people have to be sobered up and have to think about situations. And then now you're going to go into the cinema and put a whole bunch of hee ha ha on there. I know comedy is important to some people, but most comedians are whacked up people. They're messed up themselves. So how can you want a comedian to lead you? You're going to laugh all the way into hell? I mean, come on, man. So I'm just saying, man, we need to have some more sober conversation. We need more sober movies. And I'm glad that Batman v Superman came out. It changed the game. To this day, Marvel doesn't know what to do to get that kind of movie, and they know it. I heard the Russo brothers trying to bash again the DCEU, talking about DC characters. Nobody can relate to them. When you hear directors saying that kind of nonsense, directors, that tells you just how good the DCEU is and DC characters. Because when you have to pot shot, you have to go low and attack another franchise that way, it tells me what is the real gold standard. And no matter how much the critics and the choo-choo, the cheerleaders with their pom-poms come out there and shake them around, we all know what it is out here. We all know what it is out here. We all know what it is. There's no if or buts about that, because you guys have to speak out. You have to open your mouth and say something. Stand up for what is right. Stand up for values. And whenever I see real solid values out here, I'm going to talk about them. I don't care if they're comic book movies or whatever they are. And I have no problem talking about social events either. All right, and we're talking about scripture. And what does the scripture say? Heaven and earth. So let's talk about Lex Luther. So Lex Luther, as he said before, said devils don't come from hell beneath us, they come from the sky. And if we look at the beginning of BvS, the first concept that they give us is devils coming from below, the bats in the cave. Batman, the birth of Batman. Batman is considered a devil. All right. And in BvS, he acted like a devil. Right. And Lex Luther took that and just flipped the script on it. And he said, wait a minute. And this is a beautiful concept because it's really so. Devils don't come from hell beneath us. No, they come from the sky. Now, he really meant it for Superman. But at the end of the day, it was prophetic because Steppenwolf came from the sky, he came from the heavens. Lucifer came from the heavens. He's not from earth. Okay. You know, they talk about things above, perfect things. Well, not everything that's perfect comes from above. Sorry, not everything that comes from above is perfect. I said the wrong thing. And we see that with Steppenwolf. Beautiful concept, and it feeds off of BvS. Again, concepts. It feeds off of BvS. We see Steppenwolf came from above. We see the parademon came from above. And when we first see Batman interfacing with the parademon that's coming up from down in the alleyway up, but it really came from another world. So it came from above. We see the connection between above and below, and we see what Lex Luthor was talking about. It comes from below in terms of morality and what it intends to do. It's hellish, but yet it comes from above because it doesn't come from this world, it comes from another world. And so we see Batman go up with the parademon, right? Whereas he went down the well shaft into hell. This time he's going up with the parademon up to heaven. Now here's the funny thing about it. If you look at Lucifer, he went up to heaven to speak to God when the sons of God was there so that he could tempt Job. Remember that? He went up, right? This parademon is going up. He's showing that he's above mankind. He's elevated. He's stronger. He's better. He's more powerful than mankind. However, Batman, and he wants to take over Earth. Steppenwolf wants to take over Earth and convert it into what? Hell, right? He wants to convert it into hell. Now, think about what I'm saying. Now, Batman went down into hell in BvS. Now, he's going up to heaven with a hellish creature that comes from a heaven. A heaven. I'm not going to say heaven, but a heaven, right? Isn't that cool? And here's the thing that really is, and this is the thing that, if you really watch movies and you understand movies, man, it's dope to break down a really solid movie, because Zack Snyder is crazy. And I said to people, the story of Justice League and the story of BvS was done by Zack Snyder. Nobody shared in doing the story for those two movies with Zack. It's because Zack storyboarded out. He storyboarded out every single detail, which is why Joss Whedon, he didn't just do that script with that part with Batman and the Parademon in a void. No, Zack had it storyboarded out and Whedon had to finish it off. Now, Whedon made a tweak the script that Chris Terrio did, but for sure fact, I can guarantee you, he didn't do the storyboard. That's why they say the storyboard for Wonder Woman wasn't done by Patty Jenkins. Was done by Zack Snyder. That's why he gets credit for the story. Christopher Nolan, David Goyer get the credit for the story for Man of Steel. Understand? So when you storyboard out something, or the concept is given by a certain person, and it's storyboarded out, that credit must go to the person who storyboarded it out. That's who gives the story. That's why Zack gets credit for Wonder Woman's story, and that's why he got an award for that. But let's get back to what we were saying. So in a gist, what Zack was doing was juxtaposing the beginnings of Batman in the beginning of Batman v Superman. Batman's origin was given there, but then he came back and reimagined the origin of Batman in Justice League, because we have a rebirth of Batman. It's the reborn Batman in Justice League. See, there was more than one rebirth in Justice League. There was a number of rebirths, actually. But when we talk about the major rebirth that is important was Batman, because he kind of fueled the whole Justice League story along. If it wasn't for him being reborn, we wouldn't have Justice League. We wouldn't have had the Justice League coming together. And what's interesting is both, if you take the both beginnings, go and do this. Take the both beginnings, right? Don't look at the Whedon part where Superman was talking about that. You cut that out and start where the story actually begins, with the credits rolling. And that would be where Batman begins for both of them, right? And if you juxtapose those two together, okay, juxtapose them together, you're gonna find out how they contrast each other. And then there's some what we call mirror line stuff. There's stuff on the boundary on the mirror line. So one of the mirror lines is death. And you will see that there were two deaths, Martha Wayne and Thomas Wayne. And you see the funeral going, and then little Bruce is running off. And in the beginning of, that's the beginning of Batman v Superman. In the beginning of Justice League with the Batman bit, you will notice, if you pay attention, that it begins off with a newspaper clipping of the death of Superman. So there's two deaths. And this is, they are the motivating force for Batman in both cases. Because Martha and Thomas Wayne died, Bruce Wayne was motivated to become Batman after he encountered the bats. after Superman died, Bruce Wayne was encouraged to be a reborn Batman, where he recruits the Justice League. Okay. I see you have 2 views here. Okay, let me just check and see if you guys have any correct comments to make in the chat section. Please feel free to comment. If you want to join this hangout as well, feel free to join the hangout. Do I have anybody? Oh, I got, okay. I got T and J Ayala. Word up, preach, brother. From Shyamalan, Shyamalan. That's the guy who did one of my favorite movies is Unbreakable. Shyamalan. Yeah. To Snyder for me. Nolan too? Nice. Yeah, actually Nolan too. Let me explain why Nolan. I don't know if you saw the video. Maybe you saw the video I had on Facebook. So that's why you're talking. TNJ Ayala, shout out to you, brother. Nolan too, because it basically gives a shout out to Batman. The Dark Knight Rises. It really is a shout out to the Dark Knight Rises. Which if you watch the video, at the end of the video, you would see it's a shout out to the Dark Knight Rises. Basically, it's a rebirth of Batman. And basically, Christopher Nolan showed the fall of Batman in The Dark Knight, and then he had the rebirth of Batman in The Dark Knight Rises. So we had Batman Begins, which is the first birth of Batman. All right, and then we had the death of Batman in The Dark Knight, and then we had The Dark Knight Rises, which is the birth of Batman. Okay, now in the trilogy that Zack Snyder did, in BvS, we see the fall of Batman. There's a difference now. He's not dead per se, but then the rebirth of Batman. So now Batman puts aside his first inspiration, his first darkness, and his hopelessness, and he now is refreshed or reborn as Batman after his encounter with Superman. Okay, so that's why we say it's the rebirth of Batman. You can see him literally rising. He's constantly rising. Batman's constantly evolving and rising within Justice League. I'm telling you, man, Justice League is a deep, 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 deep film for you and for me, because what it shows us is the actual transformation of a person. They actually show the transformation of Bruce Wayne and Batman from the moment Superman interacted with him in that Martha scene. You see his gradual transformation and his gradual growth. And so there's a lot of things going on in that Justice League movie that people just ignore or they're dismissive about. And it's a lot on Batman going on there. All right. So shout out to you, TNJ Ayala, for that. Yes, Christopher Nolan was actually shout out to by Zack Snyder, I believe, even though it was mostly Whedon that did that direction of the scene with Batman and the Parademon. But in the end, as you can tell, he is a rebirth Batman, and he is a Batman that has risen now. He has risen up from the hellish condition that he was in. He thought that the bats would pull him out of that hellish nightmare, but now he has come out of that hellish nightmare within Justice League. You know, he's risen above that, and now he's inspired by Superman, and which is why he started up the Justice League. He's got the Hall of Justice under construction now. So anyway, let me just go back to what I was saying here. So that I'm glad that you guys actually enjoyed that, and there's some more people watching this video. You guys are at work. You guys should be working. So some of y'all in school, some of y'all in work, and you're watching this video. You see, I'm encouraging some real slackness. So let me get out of here real quick. But before I go, I just wanted to say, so if I were to try and explain a couple other things, because you know, let's talk relevance to how that deals with us and our communities, and how now everything doesn't happen overnight, right? But by your impact, like the scripture I read the day before, let me just pull it for you guys again so you can understand. It says, right, blessed is the man that fears the Lord, that delighted daily in his commands. His seed shall be mighty upon the earth. Like I said again, the seed doesn't necessarily mean your inheritance. It's the word. It's how you behave. It's how you act. It's not the feedback you get. It's what you give. The sun never waits for feedback. Oh, I love the sun, says the recipients of the sun. No. The sun shines. It just shines, guy. You know what I'm saying? It shines. And my point being, you just do what, speak out, show, demonstrate what it is to represent good things. Speak about them. Like, okay, all right, let me put it to you this way. These movies, they have a lot of virtue in them. So that's why I do all of this stuff, and I talk a lot about this stuff. And when I talk more about this stuff, people hear it, and now you see, it's like if you're selling something. I sell water, all right? It's the purest thing you could ever sell, water. But not everybody's going to drink the water. Not everybody's going to buy from me. But that does not mean that I don't put it out there and I don't advertise and I don't show it so people can see it. So who wants it will get it. And that's the same thing you got to do on social media, on places. You got to speak out, and whoever it appeals to, they will come to it. That's how you do it, honestly and truthfully. That's why I said it's about truth. Put it out there. There'll be people who try and spin it. There'll be people who try and hate on you. There'll be people, but at the end of the day, you said the truth thing. You said the truth. You put it out there. Now, if you don't put it out there, then you're accountable for not putting it out there. Because think of it this way. A man commits a crime before everybody, but everybody's afraid of him, right? He commits a crime. Nobody says nothing. When this guy finally is brought to justice, all right, and they look at all the people around him, will they not grab those people up too and lump them in the same category as him because they didn't do nothing? They never pointed it out. They're going to lump them all together. So you have to say something. You know, in the Bible, there's something called a sin of omission. You can't just be there just watching everything. Sometimes silence is condoning an act. That's why you have to step up and say something. If somebody's doing something wrong, as powerful as they are, you must let them know, hey, man, that's wrong. You got to do it. It's hard, but you got to do it. Tell them it's wrong. And whatever consequences come, they come. You have to be strong like that. You have to think for yourself. You cannot be in a herd mentality. Change does not come from being a herd sheeple, just going along with everything. You have to think for yourself. And you better be strong. And the only way I can think of doing that is if I got the Lord. Because me personally, I'm a quiet guy. I'm a shy guy. It might not look that way. But I'm on the internet talking these things because I know these things are bigger than myself. And they are true. And I use movies and all of these things to highlight these things. But at the end of the day, these are the things that count. And so that's what we need to share. When we help people with money and resources and all of that, and we help communities and stuff, and we try to help people get well and healthy and all of that, when we're doing all these things, people can call us heroes or whatever, but that's at the end of the day, that's not what it's all about. For us, it's about these values. It's about these values. It's the values that we cherish. And we want people to understand how beautiful these values are and embrace them and use them in our lives. To me, that's the most important thing at the end of the day. And if your entertainment is not doing that, if you find yourself involved in activities or things which are not doing that, separate yourself from those things. That's my personal opinion. I don't know about other people. And that's what my channel is about. So yeah, Batman, he actually evolves and he becomes better and better and better. And by the end of the movie, he's really better than he was before. And the guy's flawed like crazy. But he's getting in touch with his humanity. And he's realizing his limitations as a human. And now he's embracing being a human. It's really the weirdest thing. Because Wonder Woman embraced being a human. Superman embraced being a human. And all of the members of the Justice League embraced being a human before Batman. Flash embraced being a human before Batman. Do you believe this thing? Batman's the last guy to really start to fully embrace being a human. Think about that. That's how traumatized and messed up he was. And because he was so rich, he never really resorted to, he never resorted to embracing his humanity and vulnerability until Justice League. Hey, you know, I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying. Anyway, let me see what you guys have to say in the chat section. Dave Ethan, I'm going to work soon. Talk to you later. Yeah, man. Shout out to you, Dave, man. I see what you're doing on Google. T and J Ayala, do you think the biblical undertones are legit from Snyder's heart? One more question. First of all, for those, go look, Google up Zack Snyder, okay? Google up Zack Snyder and look in Wikipedia. You're gonna see that Zack Snyder is actually a Christian scientist. And what Zack Snyder does, and what Chris Terry and all these guys are doing, was exploring certain themes to look at the hypocrisy of human beings. You know, there are people who claim they're Christians and they take political stance, and yet their political stance is not Christian at all. And so what Zach does, I don't know what Zach's persuasion is. I really don't. I don't know if he's an atheist or what. But what I can tell you is Zach really took the comics and went deeper with them. If you go and look at, T and J Ayala at some of the signs when Superman lands in Congress. Go and watch again Batman v Superman. Look at the signs on them. You'll see somewhere where a guy says, if you're Christian, you won't believe in aliens. Now, I as a Christian don't believe in aliens. I really don't. So, you know, you could say, oh, well, is Zack Snyder trying to be anti-Christian there? And it's not a political issue for me. It's just what it is. Now, to be honest with you, once again, I could be wrong. Maybe they are aliens. I don't know. But my point is, I took this stand because it's interesting. If an alien actually came to Earth, what are you going to say? That's a demon. It's not an alien. And so Zack Snyder explores all those things. He likes to explore all those controversial issues. When Superman, remember, Superman's an alien. So in a world where, you know, they're not supposed to be aliens, or aliens are demons, or if you see an alien, it'll be negative. Zack Snyder is showing you what this works. Because in the real world, I'm telling you, man, Christians, if an alien like Superman came about, Christians would be like, nah, that's a demon. Just like what Lex Luther was saying, if you're really thinking about it, right? And then T and J Ayala says one more question. T and J Ayala says, noting that this theme of falling, fallen, fall, following Batman and BvS, wasn't Snyder's daughter named Autumn? Yes, she was named Fall. That's interesting. I don't know, just a dark thought. No disrespect to the Snyder family. Man, that's interesting, man. And you even saw the very first animation of BvS was a leaf falling, which is fall. And yes, Autumn. Yes, Autumn is one of his daughters. I hope he didn't human sacrifice her. That's a pretty dark thing to think about. But that would be like the Thanos thing that he did with Gamora. I'm hoping she wasn't just, she wasn't a sacrifice of somebody in the industry killed her somehow, some way. You know, that's a sinister, dark thing to think. Or that somehow Autumn, because Autumn actually acted, I believe, she had a role in Batman v Superman. She was actually one of the prisoners, that the guy who was sex trafficking the young woman, that she was one of them. Talking about sex trafficking, by the way, BvS is very enlightening because there's a lot of sex trafficking happening in my country, Trinidad and Tobago. Right now, we got a lot of Colombians and Venezuelans coming across here and prostituting themselves. And especially with the economy in Venezuela being poor, this is happening quite a lot in my country. So that's another scary thought right there. But it was just interesting. Autumn did actually have a role in BvS. She's had a role in a number of things. Even in Man of Steel, she's had a little role where she actually spoke inside of there. So, you know, Autumn is up and about inside of these movies. But that's a pretty scary thought, man. If dude did sacrifice his daughter for the movie, but it's just weird that she died. Yeah, but apparently she dealt with depression. She had a problem with depression. And remember, she was an adopted daughter. She's not his biological daughter, and he really loved her and everything. That was his favorite daughter and everything. So I don't know, man. I like you asking a really good question, brother. You asked a very good question because like you said, Autumn Snyder is his daughter. You know what I'm saying? Autumn is fall, like you said. Things fall, things on earth. And then again, BvS was kind of a depressing movie. So you know, it's a very heavy movie. It's a very heavy movie. So I don't know if she watched the movie and that caused her to be suicidal. I don't know, man. I don't know, bro. I don't even want to go there, but that's a good question, T and J Ayala. That's a great question. And but things sometimes happen like that because she's named Autumn, you know, the fall. So I don't know, man. I really don't know. I really don't know. but I wish she was around to see Justice League, because he was working on Justice League, and that Justice League was the comeback, baby. It was the comeback. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, but she seemed to have suffered from depression, and then all of this negative press around. All this negative press around her father, and just and she's a very creative person, and a negative press about, and she was doing, I think she was doing actually, she was doing a comic or a book or a novel on death, actually, which is another really weird thing. So I really can't say, man. I really can't say. I really can't say. I really can't say. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened with her. I don't know. So that's a good question. That's a good question. Let me just say. But for me personally, like I say, I don't worship people, so I don't worship Zack Snyder like that. But I find that his contribution with BvS and Justice League, I love the stories. I like that these stories can be used to impact communities. To me, that's the most important thing to say. I can't vouch for nobody. I don't know who's in a cult, who's not. And, you know, I don't vouch for that kind of stuff. But from what I see, Hollywood doesn't really take too lightly, too happily to him. In my opinion, I think it was a spiritual attack because of the Christian undertone. It's very possible. In fact, the way how Hollywood behaved to BvS and all the spiritual implications of Christ and all the crosses and all that stuff, I seriously believe that they just did not want Zack Snyder to say anything more, because he was talking from a spiritual perspective, a lot of things, because you remember he used a lot of dreams, and these dreams literally look like what dreams are supposed to look like, and the spiritual connotations to that. So I found this all very interesting, that they really don't like Zack Snyder speaking. Like, he always reveals something. If you look at even how Sucker Punch was treated, how they really went in on Zack Snyder with Sucker Punch. Sucker Punch is a very powerful film. Very powerful, because it says even when your hands are tied, it goes back to almost the slave trade. And the slaves were sold in slavery for 400 years. And still, you see black people have overcome all of that. And now they're at a status where the very things that people said they were not human, and they were just chattel and all that stuff. Now they are seen as people. Now they are actually, we had a president who's black, and so on and so on and so on. And what I'm saying to you is, all you have to do is be yourself and represent good qualities. And over time, it might take 400 years, may take longer. Over time, people will be hypocritical. They will turn around and say the very things that you were saying. You see what I'm saying? And the thing, I'm telling you, Zack Snyder's movie is going to stand the test of time, because the truth in them is truthful movies. You know what I mean? Damian Anton Vincent says, "Hi, Christ Yam. Marvel directors is saying that DC movies does not connect with the audience." Yeah, I just talked about that. You see, they have to talk about DC movies. They have to talk about DC characters, because that's the gold standard. Ain't nobody in DC talking about Marvel. You ever notice that? They're always trolling DC. They're always talking about, because they see DC up there. The Russo brothers, they know they borrowed things from DC for Civil War, right? They stole stuff from DC for Civil War, and they still couldn't put together a good movie like Batman v Superman, which we're still talking about to this day, right? So, like I said, we all know, everybody knows, even in people in the industry, they know what the gold standard is. They know what it is. That's why anytime you see people attacking you, it's because they're jealous of something from you, and they know you are the gold standard. And no matter how much negative labeling, look at what they did with Christians, for the early Christians. For those people who don't know, man, Nero said there was a plague, and they killed out a whole bunch of Christians. And all that happened to Christianity was it got stronger. At first, they wiped out all of them, it seemed, and then they came back. And then they finally succeeded in wiping out a significant population of them. And then they started this whole new, tradition of Christianity. So the Christianity we have today is fake Christianity to some degree. It's very fake. But for those of you who know the truth, and you study the history of Christianity, and you know what being a Christian, the word Christian was a derogatory word, man. It was a derogatory word. Now people talking about they're proud to be Christian, but before that, it wasn't a proud thing to be called Christian. You were considered pagan, all right? And that's the weird thing about the whole thing. It's like, I ain't listen to people talk about Christianity. They politicize it and stuff, and they equate Christianity with a lot of evil things going on in the world now. TNJ, it's almost obvious that Snyder recognizes not only the mistreatment, persecution of women, but the slave sex trade of Hollywood. Yes. Oh my gosh, you went there, and that's why I think the Me Too movement is important. And they're trying to squash it. Trust me, they're trying to squash it right now. They want business as usual. But you're right. Hollywood is a place where women have been mistreated to the highest extent. You know, and that's the sex trade there too. And Zach was commenting on that. And you see, Zach he's very brave to be saying what he's saying, because he's talking from a humanist point of view, very pure humanist point of view. I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that. TNJ Ayala, I'm glad you said that. Because the Me Too movement that started to come about, I think it started to come about around the time that Zach put out Sucker Punch. It's one of the weirdest things. And again, people came down hard on Zucker and saying Zach was sexist and everything, because but you know what's interesting? You never saw any of the characters having sex, right? He went mental with it, right? And while they were trying to do certain things to the girl, because she was said to be dancing, but really sex she was having, right? But she was having power over those men, right? And mentally in her head, she was fighting a battle. It was a war, right? So my point being, even when they think they compromise you, they haven't. Okay. And TNJ Alice says only strong women give birth to strong men. I'm gonna go hyper spiritual on you. I'm gonna go hyper spiritual on you. All right. So there's a great spirit. The great spirit. Some people call the great spirit Mother Earth. Some people call the great spirit wisdom. Either way, how you look at it, Sophia is the darn. I just went there. I went there. I said, you know what? You guys might be mature enough to take this. Sophia is the darn. I don't know if you guys understand what I just said. I spoke in code. But suffice it to say, Sophia began it all. In the beginning, she was with the Creator. Yeah, y'all didn't hear me. Y'all didn't hear me. Go read Proverbs. Go read Ecclesiastes. Y'all understand what I'm saying. All right. So when you say only strong women give birth to strong men, I got one extra for you. I'm gonna talk to you about Marianne for a minute. Excuse me. Hey, I'm gonna talk about Marianne for a minute. I'm not even gonna talk about Mary. I'm gonna skip Mary and go to Marianne. Marianne, go figure out. You talk about strong men? They're lesser strong men. But I'm going to talk about the strong man. Marianne. Let me say it again, because I know you didn't get me. I'm trying to hit you, but you're not understanding me. I'm going to break it down phonetically for you. Ma-re-am. Ma-re-am. Another way of saying it is ma-I-am. I just dropped it on you. I don't know if you guys understand what I just said. All right. I don't know if you just understood what I just said, but I just went levels with that. I just went levels on y'all. I'm going to leave that right there. Y'all try and figure out what I just said. All right. It's fun to figure it out. Go read it up. Take M-A-R, put a dash, put I, put a dash, put am. Go check out that. Now I'm going to tell you everything you need to know. Everything you need to know. Because you think it's just about strong women? No. Zack Snyder don't talk about only that. He talk about gods, man. Y'all got to get to the place where you understand ye are gods. Start talking about that, and we can really have a conversation now. We can really have a conversation now. I went way up there. I'm in the third heaven right now, speaking to you. Okay, so when you're ready to talk about that, now we're ready to talk, because I'm talking about communities. I'm not talking about individuals anymore. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. You know, I might have went too high for some people, and it's okay. But I'm talking about communities. T&J Ayala, quote from 300. Yeah, that was cool, man. Yeah, strong women give birth to strong men. Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. But for humanity to get better, it has to rise, man. That's the whole theme I'm saying here. The connection between BvS and Justice League. And Lex Luther now, he came and he twisted the script. But even when he twisted the script, it turns out that Batman was able to use that script and flip it back on its head so that it could come back in the right direction. I'm talking ciphers now. Might as well do a rap battle. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, at the end of the day, that's what I'm saying. And it's like, for those of you who know what I'm talking about, man, bless the Lord, because you know, that didn't come from me. That came from a couple levels up. You know, on Jacob's ladder. I think I need to chill, man, because it's just coming now. You know what I'm saying? Right. So, yeah, Dave Ethan, you actually believe that, Damien? It was Zach who brought on Just to finish up Justice League. I believe they used Joss Whedon to sabotage the performance of Justice League so that they can celebrate the success of Marvel, and I believe DC's execs are in on it. Now you got me going back down to earth here. Look, I don't really care, man. I don't even care. As far as I'm concerned, Whedon did the best he could. Y'all think he was trying to sabotage Justice League? I don't think so. If he would, okay, Whedon was trying to take it and carry it in a kind of comic way, like how he's a Marvel director. He's the guy that inspired what Marvel has now. So Whedon tried to put together something Marvel. In fact, he was trying to put in more jokes for the scene between Batman and the burglar. And Warner Brothers was like, hell no. And I'm glad they didn't put in the jokes, because it would have subverted the context, and it would not have linked up as nicely with BvS as it does now. So I'm glad they didn't do that. You know what I'm saying? Just to be honest with you. So I don't think the execs nor Whedon were trying to sabotage Zack Snyder stuff. I just don't believe that the execs had the confidence in what Zack Snyder was doing. And so they felt they needed to go to, you know, tweak it. And like I said, I believe that it's a lot of rumors and negative press on Justice League that really hurt the movie more than it did. And then people, you know, sheeple, I told you have to think for yourself. Sheeple came in and they just wrecked it more. Okay. But I thought it was a good movie. It was solid. I would never call it a masterpiece. It's not a masterpiece, but it's a good, solid movie. I think it's the third best. I think it's the second best DCEU movie out there. Yeah, because of the content. So I think it's the second best DCEU movie. So those people who are emotional about it and they don't really understand the context, like I just broke down some context there for you guys, which is pretty deep. And again, most people will not see that. All right. And that's because they don't think for themselves. Nobody critically thinks. They're just sheep. They listen to what critics say. They listen to what their friends say. And based on what other people say, that's what will make them interested in a movie. It's just what it is. Dave Ethan, you actually believe, okay. Damien and Vincent, from what I heard recently, it was the DC execs who brought on Mr. Whedon. Nah, he didn't, the DC execs didn't bring on Whedon. Jeff Johns had something to do with it. The president did have something to do with it, but Zack Snyder okayed it. He okayed Whedon coming in. In fact, he convinced Whedon to do the reshoots for jail. He really did. That's not a lie. You know, but of course they would have wanted Whedon so that they could. Now, when Zack steps away, now they want. This is where they went wrong. When Zack stepped away, they decided, no, man, that's not good enough. Let Whedon, you do your thing, man. Come on, redo this and redo that. And so Whedon reshot some of JDF, not the whole thing, obviously. And then they didn't get the finish on it. They had to do the post-production work, and the post-production didn't come through to the point that the movie was showing in cinemas with incomplete post-production work. That hurt the movie as well. So, and they've done a better job on the DVD and Blu-ray. It's much more cleaner now, I can tell you that. But you can't be coming in, you can't be coming into the cinema with incomplete work. That's the problem, you know. But again, that still, I don't think hurt this movie. I think what hurt the movie was all the negative press on it. They really, man, the media and so on, they cranked it up with negativity. And I think that's what really at the end hurt it. But as you just carry me back down to earth with some, you know, you might as well, you know, this is, to me, this is female stuff. that's going on. You know, rumors and stuff. That's things that women do. You know, not women, not generally women, but like, you know, those gossiping women. That's to me, that's female. That's what some people say is female stuff. That, you know, men, big grown men don't do that. You know, real men don't do that. Real women don't do that. And yeah, that's some female stuff, man. That's some estrogen stuff. We don't waste time, you know, in gossip, man. So why, if it's already almost done? T and J Ayala. No, they decided they wanted to do X, Y, and Z, so they did it. It was almost done, but they decided to remove, and then they decided to remove certain parts of the movie. That's what they decided to do. And it's a new director and everything, so that's what happened. What you can do about that? Nothing. I can't do anything about that. Obviously, Zack Snyder wasn't happy about that. Neither was I, but we got what we got. They spent more time to reshoot than to finish, right? No. They didn't spend more time to reshoot. They did some post-production work, which took longer. That's why they were not able to finish off the post-production work. Because somebody had a wise idea to reshoot some scenes, which would have probably been better if they weren't reshot. And that's what it is. That's basically it. As to, like I said, that's basically it. I think Warner Bros. Should just keep with what they're doing, stay on track with what they're doing so people can get used to it. I think in a way, people were used to certain things that Zack Snyder did. And from what we got from the trailers, everybody was waiting for that. We wanted to see Zack Snyder stuff. And then they came and kind of threw a curveball on us. That's how you call it. And it's what it is. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I'm cool with it. You know? Damien Anton Vincent says, BvS, Man of Steel, Watchmen, Wonder Woman, JL. You forgot Suicide Squad, buddy. Suicide Squad should be up in there somewhere. But at the end of the day, that's your choice. If you like those kinds of movies, let me just tell you, content-wise, JL is beyond all of those guys. Beyond Watchmen, beyond Man of Steel, beyond Wonder Woman, beyond Suicide Squad. Content-wise, that thing is packed. BvS trumps it, and I'm not talking about the theatrical cut now. I'm talking about the ultimate cut. BvS, the ultimate cut, trumps it, obviously. Just well-seasoned, well-grounded movie. But JL, it's got lots of stuff in it, man. Lots of stuff. But again, you guys carried me off my topic, man. My topic is, I'm saying once again, on a spiritual level, I'm saying on a spiritual level that when we're talking about what Zack Snyder was doing, you understand, it seemed as though Hollywood wanted to sabotage that, because Hollywood doesn't really want us paying tribute to God. And Zack was like deciding, you know what, I'm going to show you guys what it really is and what a real hero is. A real hero don't get no damn thanks. Most of the people in history, Martin Luther King Jr. got assassinated for being a hero. Mahatma Gandhi died trying to be a hero. You look at this, what's this guy name? JFK, assassinated for being a hero. Figures of controversy, man. Let's be real. Figures of controversy. Let's be real. Gladiator, Maximus died. He was a hero, but he wasn't appreciated. You know what I'm saying? And my point being, a lot of times people talk about it, but Zack gave a real true story about Superman. If Superman was to be around here, let's be real, he wouldn't be no hero in our eyes. He'd be a figure of controversy. We all know that. And you know what's the funny thing? When BvS came out, I heard Christians saying how it was so preachy. Christians! People who were supposed to appreciate it. J.N. Ayala said a theme in Suicide is squat control. Check it out sometime, brother. Yeah. But what she called it was leverage. Not so much control as leverage. Obviously, leverage is a form of control. But the theme there was leverage versus friendship. Leverage versus friendship. And leverage is iffy. You know, leverage is iffy. But friendship is guaranteed to work. But you have different kinds of friendship. So another theme that they show is General Zod and Jor-El. They were friends. But because of their different ideologies, and General Zod put in country Now we know from Krypton, he puts country or he puts world before anything else. Honor come first for the Zods. We know he will kill a friend, and he would do it again and again and again to save his world. However, his grandmother, which was Jaina Zod, she actually dishonored herself by putting her child before her state. All right. So there was precedence for the Zods and the Zod line to actually embrace other qualities above honor. See, the DCEU is rich with themes. When we're talking about themes, there's lots of themes in the DCEU. JNT and J Ayala. You know what I'm saying? Lots of ethics and morality questions and exploration into these things. And that's why I like the DCEU. It's more mature, much more deeper. As the actor who plays Commissioner Gordon said, it's got more oomph. I'm saying, so that's why I'm a fan of that. When I didn't like comic book movies because they were so frivolous, except for the X-Men movies, there was nothing else on the screen that was really grabbing my attention because of the gravity of it. Anyways, man, that's right, sir. TNJ, that's why you love the DCEU. I totally agree with you, man. Hey, man, you guys must come up on the stream. I try to be more predictable with my streams. It's 1:04 p.m. I got to go to work, folks. I got the little luxury of determining my times because I'm my own boss. I do my own business. You know, those of you who want to donate to my channel, don't forget you can donate to my channel through Western Union or through MoneyGram. Send whatever you want to send. I don't care, man. I'm just taking donations for the work that I do. And I would really love to get a ton of you guys to join the hangout, to hear your voices, to see your faces, and just let's have a big old talk out. And I'll be able to talk less because I like talking, but I really love having discussions where other people are talking more than I do. And I've had the honor of having 3 sets of people on here. I had William Ruffin. Awesome guy. I'd love to hear him talk about these topics. And again, he is very community conscious and his story is just fantastic. He is a Muslim. I am a Christian, but we share very much common values together. And it's just beautiful to just hear him talk. I would love to have atheists on here. I would love to have people from many different backgrounds, you know, and just have a nice little powwow up in here, a little talk out. We had R2 Lemonin recently as well. And he's a comic book writer, loves to do crossover comics. Love the stuff in his I love his imagination as well, how he takes and he tries to sometimes ground certain things and then use fiction. And again, you can check out his stuff on a particular page. T&J Ayala says can't contribute because we ain't got no jobs, remember? Joke. Hey man, I hope you're not on T&J Ayala. I hope you're not in work right now talking to me. You should be focusing on your work, okay? Focus on your job. Hunda Funda, I had sex with my sister last night and I liked it. What the hell? Let me just bleep this out. Hey, crazy. Some crazy people out here, man. All right. Got rid of that troll. That won't be popping back up on our feed. Yeah. So that's another thing. Got to watch out for trolls on here. But yeah, I would love to get some people. What the hell, man? I just deleted. Oh, I didn't mute you. No, you're not showing back. You're not showing back up on my channel. Hell no. Yeah. JNL Ayala. You know, we try to keep our head in the clouds, and some people they want to keep their head in the mud. You know what I'm saying? And I don't like that kind of stuff. You want to roll in hell. You roll by yourself. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So yeah, it was nice talking with you guys. Tune in and we'll try and get another chat going pretty soon. And stay tuned for some more news and stuff. T&J Ayala, shout out to you. Dave Ethan, shout out to you. Saw a couple other people here. Damien, Anton, Vincent, shout out to you. It's good to see people with different views on here. I encourage people to always have different views. Just make sure you can back your stuff up. If you can't back your stuff up, you're going to look stupid. But other than that, I encourage everybody to have your opinions. The more diversity of opinions is actually the greatest thing in the world. Just do understand, while we are having discussions, we are trying to get to the truth of a matter, so that when we have a discussion, you know what I'm saying, if somebody else says, but that don't make no sense because of that, and they say so, you respect it, but you be able to argue your position, defend your position. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing wrong with that. Just don't be abusive to people when you are defending your position. But it's always good because it enables people to think, rethink situations. Sometimes I'm wrong, sometimes you're right, and it's okay. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to you all. Some people want me to do some music on here. I had one of my subscribers request. He's saying like, man, you ain't doing no more Christian videos or no more Christian music. I'm gonna put on some Christian music, folk, and I'm gonna put on some Christian videos. All right, but do understand, usually when I share something that's Christian, it's going to challenge everybody, okay? Because it's very relatable to your present situation, and it pushes us to want to be better. The whole point behind it is you shouldn't go from day to day to day at the same level all the time. You should at least something you should learn in whether it's in your practical life or whatever, you should learn something and always be better the next day. So let's go for that, man, folks. Much love to all you guys today. I hope everything works out well. Health and strength. For those of you who don't have no jobs, I hope you can get a job or employ yourself and take responsibility in your life, get empowered, and go out there and sell something, or do something for services and get some money that's legal. Don't do no illegal thing. We don't want no prostitution and stuff up in here, you know what I'm saying, or drug trade. We don't do that. Do something legit. Don't be, I always tell people, if you go read the scripture from Titus, where they talk about the Cretans, and they refer to the Cretans as people who smooch off of other people. Don't smooch off the government. Don't smooch off of other people. If you can't do any better, you need government assistance. That's another story. But when you're talking about smooching off of people and living off, man, get on your own 2 feet and live off your own self and learn how to take your 2 hands and do something with it. And if you need help, that's different, but get out there and do something with yourself. You know what I'm saying? I look very animated when I look at myself here. That's so funny. But anyway, that's what I wanted to share with you guys. Positivity all the way. You can do it. And there's things you can do that beyond your capacity that you even knew you were able to do. Go for it. Go for the stars. God is your template. He is the foundation of the world. He is going down to the pits of hell, and he's risen up to the heights of heaven. I'm telling you, man, guys, you can do this. Don't think of the narcissistic view of Lex Luther. Think about the view of Superman. And no matter where you come from, no matter what background you come from, you can give this world something positive. So let's keep it blazing. Don't shut your mouth up and demonstrate what you mean or what you say in your actions. You guys have a great one.